Welcome back, gang. It's Delta here from DeltiasGaming.com here with the Dynasty Warriors Origin first build up, and this is with the sword, the very first weapon you get. And yes, builds are a thing in this game. In fact, there's a lot of different variables that you're going to be exposed to as you start playing from beginner all the way to advanced. And I'm going to go through each of them, give you beginner and advanced options. I've been playing this game by the time you watch this video for over 70 hours. I absolutely love it and was a complete noob and made every single mistake when it comes to combat, making a character, and advancing my build. This is what I've learned with the sword. Okay, first up is the sword weapon overview. I just want to give you an idea of what this weapon can do either at the beginning or end game. Now, it's the first weapon, so you assume it sucks. That's actually not true. It's one of the best weapons in the game, especially when you get the end game skill Divine Eagle Dance. This thing is an absolute nuclear missile. Once you get it upgraded, it will cost less bravery, which I'll explain all the mechanics a little bit later. It's going to be somewhat high cost, but it's going to do AoE 360 damage. Another thing that the sword does really well is it blends your combos using both normal and heavy attacks, so the gameplay is super fun. And if you get the combos down, you can stun lock enemies in the air and just nuke them without even using battle arts, which are essentially skills. So what are the downsides of the sword? Well, it's the first weapon, so it's going to have some limitations. One, the combos are long, so they take about 6 actions to basically get it fully optimized and done, meaning the enemies, especially at higher difficulty, aren't going to let you sit there and beat on them, so you got to be really timely and tactical when you use it. It's not going to have as powerful a strong attack as other weapons, and it's going to have a shorter range, so you're going to have to be highly mobile and really on target to actually hit and land attacks with the sword. So if you just picked up the game, don't sweat it. Sword is amazing. Let's go through what to do with it. So the first thing up is the skills, and they call them battle arts in this game. What you're going to want to do is set up your bar in a specific way. You're going to have essentially 4 skills, 3 at the very beginning. You're going to start unlocking them as you play and go through the campaign. You're going to want something that has a low cost. That way you can use it. Now, battle arts are skills, and they use bravery. It's an orange icon in the bottom left of your screen. You're going to build up bravery simply just by attacking and killing enemies. But you're going to get some talents and skills later on that's going to give you bravery for evading an attack perfectly, just right on timely, or doing a perfect block, or using consumables. So you'll have a lot more ways to build up bravery quickly. At the very beginning of the game, it's dreadful building it up. An important tip here is don't feel like you have to spend bravery and cast a battle arts. That's what the real strength of the sword is. It can do tons of damage and crowd control just simply through the combo system, which I'll show you a little bit later as well. So low cost, high cost skill, high cost battle art that's going to do big damage. You're going to have an interrupt, and you're going to have a mobility tool. Now, when I say interrupt, one of the mechanics is the enemies are going to turn orange. This is going to be called a special battle art the game's going to introduce you to. One of the earlier ones is Palm Strike. This is a universal one not tied to the sword. The reason this is so strong is it doesn't cost much. It costs 1 bravery. So in your brain, you typically want to leave 1 bravery left behind in case you see this orange light up mechanic of the boss, because you're not going to be able to avoid it very easily. The red attacks the boss light up can only be dodged, and the orange ones can be interrupted. The reason you want to interrupt these is it leaves the boss vulnerable for a little bit of time, or I should say officer, not necessarily a boss. When they're vulnerable, that allows you to do that combo that I was talking about earlier without the threat of retaliation, so it gives you an opening. And the higher difficulty you play on, the shorter that window becomes. So if you're a noob like me, feel free to turn down the difficulty to Historium. You can always change it later on as you get better at the game. And eventually when you beat the main campaign, you get a 4th difficulty that can really test your limits. But if you're a 40-year-old dad like me and have terrible reaction time, this will be an issue for you. Okay, so you know the resource, you know about interrupts. Let's talk about the skills to use right away. So these should be available pretty early in the game. Swallow Slash, this is 2 bravery, and it's going to do big AoE in front of you, not 360, but just in front of you. You'll see in the bottom middle of the screen, it says Master, reduce damage taken and prevent staggering while using battle arts. So after you've used these abilities a certain amount of time, they will get a special bonus via Master, and they'll have a different icon, a kind of a yellowish icon above the name of the skill. So there's an incentive incentive to use specific skills over and over and over in combat with all the different weapon types in order to master them and unlock that. The simple reason you're going to use this is you're going to have a bit of range with this skill, so it's way more than just a standard attack, and it does really good conal AoE damage at low cost. The second ability up is going to be Falcon Fury. Now this is going to be 3 bravery, and it's going to do good single target damage, so it's going to do a bunch of attacks in front of you, and then a final strike that kind of goes a conal. So you're using this mainly on officers. When you're targeting them, lock them in, they're going to be vulnerable for a few seconds, and you blast them with this to lower their fortitude. Fortitude, if I haven't talked about it yet and you skipped the tutorial of the game, it's the little icons above the head. You'll see red or yellow, and you'll start breaking through. Once you've broken through all of them, the boss will be vulnerable for an assault, which is like a free damage 3-second phase. So the gameplay loop revolves around breaking fortitude, doing some free damage, building up bravery, using battle arts, rinse and repeat. But you're going to throw in combos, strong, normal attacks, along with battle arts to get that broken efficiently. Talked about Palm Strike. The downside of Palm Strike is you got to be really close. So you can't be very far away. And I have an alternative in the advanced skills for this. So just be aware that when you're playing with the sword, you're limited in range. And if you're fighting an officer or a boss that constantly does this orange attack light up, you got to be really close to them. Always keep 1 bravery in the tank so you can interrupt. If you don't, you will be deady spaghetti. Now you have a 4th skill, and this is kind of a flex spot. This is Whirlwind Kick. You have to actually take this in the skill trees, and I'll go over this a little bit later, but just so you know where it's at. So here's the skill trees, and you, for 20 skill points, can unlock this. And so it's not tied to the individual sword. The reason why it's useful is it's 1 bravery, and you disappear and become invulnerable to attacks while you charge through here. So this gives you a lot of mobility. Something I struggled with the sword early on is I just couldn't reach enemies and had no way to gap close. Once I took this, put on my 4th ability, I could actually close the gap. I could survive and go, oh crap, I just need to get away. So consider taking this as you level up your skills. So this is the beginner loadout. What you do is use this for AoE low cost when you need to clear some trash. You're fighting an officer, you're going to want to use Falcon Fury. You're going to have Palm Strike for interrupts, and you're going to have Whirlwind Kick for mobility. Now you're going to level up and play a lot, drink a ton of Mountain Dew, no life this game like I did, and let me show you the advanced setup. So here's the advanced skills. I have Shadowless Blade, Flying Dragon Slash, Power Shot, and Divine Eagle Dance, one of my favorite skills in the game. I love this skill. Shadowless Blade, it's 1 bravery, which is almost nothing. What it's really good for is it's little range, little damage, but it kind of stun locks the enemies and the officers. So it's right in front of you, and just for like almost no bravery, you can use it, get behind the officer, and go into that long combo that I'm going to show you. Flying Dragon Slash. So this is going to be 4 bravery. The benefit of this is it's similar to the other skill we're using for single target when we're fighting officers, but it pops you up into the air. So a lot of these skills that pop you up in the air, you're going to avoid a lot of crap damage on the ground that you'd otherwise be normally hit if an officer was going to attack you. Not all the time, but some of the time. So it's worth using this skill for 1 extra bravery just to pop up in the air and be able to nuke single target and a little bit more AoE. Now, Power Shot, this is going to be the interrupt. And at the beginning of the game, if not towards like the very end of the game, this skill is not that useful. You get it through a skill tree. So here's Power Shot. It's in the expert rank, so you're gonna have to play a little bit to get this. It's going to be 2 bravery cost. The strength of this is that you can interrupt targets either in the air or at range. There's gonna be a couple particular bosses that are gonna be an absolute nightmare unless you have this skill. In fact, you're almost gonna do nothing but interrupt and dodge and just try to survive some of these hard encounters, especially on the highest difficulty. So what seems like terrible skill is not until you get later in the game. The downside of it is it's 2 bravery rather than 1. Now, by the time you get to this, you're going to have a lot more tools to build bravery. So consider swapping into this if you just cannot interrupt enemies or you're not too close, and it's available for every single weapon you use. Next up is Divine Eagle Dance, baby. This thing is an absolute nuclear missile, and once you get it mastered, it lowers the bravery cost by 1, which is huge. So it makes it 6 rather than 7. You can obviously increase your bravery as you progress in the campaign, so don't freak out if the bravery doesn't match up like this. You will get higher bravery and allow you to do bigger and better skills. This is one of the best because it's 360 radius and hits just everything in the area. So it's not front, it's not conal, and the area is just massive. It's good for clearing out waves of mobs and officers. It just breaks their fortitude, allows you to get that assault off. So when you get to this advanced stage, a lot of the times you're not going to be using a lot of battle arts. Once you get this skill unlocked, you level it and master it. It's just so strong that it outparses almost everything else that you can use. I throw a lot of shadowless blades in when I'm just trying to stun and build up bravery because it's only one. I throw a lot of flying dragon slashes in if I just don't have enough time to build up the bravery because I'm doing a lot of interrupts. But overall, Divine Eagle Dance is the go-to skill and what you're going to want to save your bravery for, to jump in, drop a nuke, and just obliterate an officer in 1 or 2 seconds. Okay, so now we're going to go into progression and skill trees. So if you don't know how progression works in the game, you're going to get different weapons. You get 10, sorry, spoiler alert, you get 1 extra one, the halberd, after you beat the game. So you're going to get 9. You're going to either find them just by playing and getting drops, or you can buy a couple of them at the store. I'd highly recommend just getting them as drops. You're going to want to use the different weapons frequently. And the reason why is the game's progression system, how you get access to these different skills trees, is based on moving down the line, unlocking these different ranks in your weapon. So all the weapons essentially build proficiency, this number here, as you do battles. It doesn't really matter which one you have equipped, but the one you have equipped will build proficiency much faster. So the best strategy to get higher level, higher skill trees is to pick a weapon, do it. Once you unlock a new one, pick another one, reach kind of the similar same level, and then keep finding new ones and then start using it, and then go to the same level. So you're at 3, and you get the spear, you want the spear to be 3. Then you get the gauntlets, you want the gauntlets to be 3. This will help you get a lot faster progression the way I did it, which is just use a sword forever and every other weapon lags. And plus it'll give you a well-rounded experience about how the weapons work, and how the enemy officers work. So in summary, don't just use a sword if you don't want to, if you want to get really fast progression, because once you start unlocking these, you'll start unlocking all of these different skill trees. And there's actually one here once you've reached all of them at level 8, which I'm just about there. Okay, so I'm going to go over some really important skills that I think you should get and why. This is not all inclusive. So this skill tree, it's very easy and simple. Now the thing is, you do not have to get all the skills in the tree. So you can pick one side and kind of go down. You can pick and choose, and so on. Do not feel that you have to spend all of your skill points. If you've got the things that are useful in this skill tree, save up for the next one as you unlock it if it's really close. So don't feel like you have to spend all your skill points. There's easy ways to get them later on. You'll get them from just fighting. You can actually get a consumable that gives you 20 skill points every single battle. So Knight Errant, the 3 that I like in this specific skill tree is number 1, Whirlwind Kick. We've talked about that. 20, low cost mobility tool, and you can use it at the beginning of the game. I don't know of a way to respec, but it's still useful. 20, not a huge investment. Chain evasion, you have to get this just by going down the skill tree anyways, but it allows you to evade repeatedly, which is going to be very important later on. And then Meat Bun Glutton. So meat buns, don't call me that as a nickname, not funny. This is going to allow you to hold more consumable potions, essentially. When you get to endgame, you can hold 4 portable items, and you can hold up to 6 meat buns, and you can increase the healing effectiveness of it. When you start off, you're going to have 1, and it's going to be dreadful to heal. So just realize these consumable items are extremely important. Anything you can do to bring more to the battlefield, the better. So those are the 3 ones I'd recommend, and there's some obvious ones here: back on your feet, increasing endurance on spur, so on. But those are the 3 that I think you should have in each one. Now, next one up is the Adept. So Perfect Evade is a no-brainer. This is going to give you bravery when you just evade at just the nick of time. You'll learn the bosses and enemies mechanics and when their swords or weapons are at specific points and you can evade. It's going to give you a little blurry symbol type thing, and that's when you're going to build some bravery. It allows you to just be more offensive. This one is absolutely critical for me and is Meat Perceiver. It's going to allow you to do Eagles of the Sacred Bird. It's just this kind of pan and view around the world, and it'll allow you to see pots. They'll be green through walls, and that will tell you if there's going to be some meat buns on the battlefield. Also, your mini map sometimes will show it as well. So don't feel like you always have to push ahead in the battles if you're low and you don't have a whole lot of healing and or potions in reserve. As long as someone's not in threat or you have to push through to a keep or something, you can double back to different towns, look for these meat buns, load up, and then push the fight. Don't be like me and Rambo in. I just gotta go forward, just gotta go forward. That's actually not true, and this will help you survive a lot. All right, last one up here is Army of One Muzu gauge. This is gonna be your ultimate gauge in the bottom left. It has a bunch of different mechanics with it. Essentially allows you to do a burst skill, or if you save up enough, it's gonna allow you to go into God Rage mode or something, which is literally God mode. So the game at the end game is all about filling up this meter, going into God mode. It floods you with bravery, it does AoE damage, and it does the huge nuke at the end. So when you get this passive, when you kill 1,000 enemies, which isn't going to be every battle, but the big battles you really need it, what you can do is kind of tank your gauge, and then right as you're about to eclipse 1,000, it will boom, fill it back up and allow you to do this. So the game revolves around getting into this rage, building up your ultimate essentially. Next up in the expert rank, we're going to go with Item Investor, and enables you to hold more items. This is going to allow you to hold more consumables essentially. You're going to see this one right here in the middle, bravery increase. I got this through the individual quest chain. So I think there are some that you have to do specific quest in order to get. You can replay the campaign and the missions over and over again. So keep that in mind. This is a no-brainer if you have access to this one. This extreme whatever attack is going to allow you to do your AoE nuke using that ultimate meter with the companion. So there's going to be two ways your companions are going to interact with your skills. One is this extreme attack, and the other one is a battle art chain. When your companion, which is not always going to join you into battles, but on the big campaign ones they will, they'll light up with the blue line if it's a battle arts. They'll light up with the yellow if they have their ultimate filled and you have yours and you're within the same area. So when you activate the ability with a blue or yellow line, they're just going to basically double up your action. So it's a way to double the effectiveness of using this ultimate attack instantly, or they're just going to do a skill with the blue line as well. So always be around your companions and be aware if you see those blue tethers to you, take advantage. If it's blue, your skills will light up blue in the bottom. You just have to use one battle art skill. Doesn't matter the cost. And on this one, you both have to have your ultimate gauge filled up. Okay, next up is Power Shot. This is the skill I was talking about earlier. It's going to allow you to shoot out an arrow, and it's going to be in mid-air as well. That seems odd, but it's going to be very important on a couple specific bosses. Now, you're also going to have Rage Restore. This is extremely critical because once you go into God mode, you can wait till you're just about dead or just trigger this passive here. Restores health automatically upon reaching low. This basically means you can't die once in the big battles. As soon as that happens, you can enter Rage mode if your ultimate is full, and then you can start landing attacks on guys, and then boom, you'll pop up to health. It's a way to essentially like double dip if you don't have any meat buns and save survive. And finally, you can actually access this clear over here as well and get an even better one. So fill up your health immediately once you pop into rage mode and start going on the offensive. Okay, master rank here, you're gonna have some more meat bun glutton. You gotta be a glutton for the meat buns. Obvious one here is going to be bolster bravery, and mission critical one here is going to be accessory artisan. Enables you to equip more accessories, so you'll have two rather than one. Very, very important for min-maxing your character. And hero rank, you're gonna have more of the same. Meat bun glutton, item investor. It's gonna allow you to hold more items. And then one down here is going to increase your endurance accumulation. So the horses become very critical once you get the access to this and roaming around the battlefield and saving officers. The more endurance you can build, the faster you can sprint, the more map you can traverse and save the officers and make it very easy to beat those battles that require a lot of mobility. Okay, in this rank, I mean, basically everything is good here. You have this middle one available, take it to you. You have bolstered bravery, really good. You can upgrade your ultimate a lot in this specific one. Some of the skills aren't necessarily that good. And the two on the bottom are no-brainers. Prolonged Rage by 5% and Rage Restored Upgrade. These are mega, gotta use them. Okay, now we're gonna go talk about weapons. When you very first start out, it's kind of confusing. I would not buy weapons unless you have to for a YouTube video like I'm doing, or you need to unlock a new weapon, you're going to get a lot of drops that are going to be very good. And I'm at epic quality, which is the 7 number you can see. You'll see these little dots. This indicates how many traits that you can have on the weapon. So the higher the quality weapon, the better traits likely you're going to have, right? When you very first start playing, you're going to have these junky, trashy traits. Don't worry, everyone has them. And you're going to have no mechanism to trade them out. As you progress and complete the campaign, you're going to have the reforge option. But don't worry about it right away. When you go into the weapon store here, you can see these very base ones, and they have like nothing and basically 0 traits. And you see the 2 number with the 2 little icons. What I want you to realize here is that it's not always about just the attack power. If you have a weapon that has 5 less attack power, but it has really good traits, or has 2, 3 rather than 1, that's probably gonna be a better weapon for you than having something that has a little tiny eensy weensy bit of attack power. So this Celestial Sword actually sucks. I had to buy it from the store because I have like a gazillion other weapons that are not the sword, of course. Now, this one is mega, as you can see. Boost the ultimate gauge, increase the drop rate of weapons, damage to soldiers, damage to officers, boost bravery gains during parries, and boost normal attacks. This is almost mid-maxed for the sword, except it's not, it's in a staff. Now, what's gonna happen is as you play, you're gonna get tons of these, and you're gonna start mid-maxing your build by using the Reforge. The Reforge trait will allow you to grab a specific trait and then put it obviously on the other weapon for a cost. Now, it will allow you to also boost the attack power. On the epics, you have to have the epic quality one in order to do it. This is an end game thing, but just realize if you continue to play after the campaign, you'll have a way to mid-max those traits. Some that I like for beginners is grant a very small amount of obtaining a meat bun for defeating an enemy, boost bravery gain, boost battle art strength, and increase nectar water drops. This is going to be a way to pick up a little item on the battlefield that's going to increase your bravery. For advanced or late endgame, I like grant 10% chance of not draining bravery gauge when activating the battle art, extends the input window for parries, boost damage to officers, boost your ultimate gauge, grants a very small chance of generating a whirlwind attack, increases drop rates for weapons only if you're going to weapon farm with that weapon, and then boosts attack by 30% after a perfect evade. Take what you get, factor in all the different elements to the weapons. Okay, moving on to sword combos. So if I go into here and I go test weapon, it'll allow you to kind of play around with the weapon, allow you to do the rage, it'll allow you to do everything inside of the game. Now, when you hit the escape key, this is really important because I'm a noob and didn't really do this. As you level up the ranks, you'll have more combos that unlock. So come back here if you're not really clicking with the weapon. It might be a you problem like it was me. So once I started playing with the sword a lot, I came down here and I started using this combo and dominating without even using battle arts. So you're gonna do, basically I call them light and heavy attacks. You'll do 4 light and then 2 heavies. What it'll do is lift up a target in the middle of the air. So let me see if I can pull this off without panicking. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then whoop, and boom, blammo. That is as powerful as a battle art without actually using any bravery. The trick to doing it though is waiting until you get a perfect block, which I didn't because I'm nervous. You guys are watching like I'm streaming. It'll give a little stun to the boss like this. So now they kind of go 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, right? So you have a little bit of time there. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as my feet come up in the air, that's when I start smashing that heavy attack. And then while I'm in the air, I can still hit it even more. And then once I got through the fortitude, then I hit the assault. Now, if I have bravery built up, I do my ultimate nuke. And just watch how that fortitude just immediately just vaporizes. A couple light attacks here. I break it, go back to assault, don't even need to do anything else. And I'm already at 4 bravery again. Now, if you can see, I hit my rage, and this is a full meter. And it'll start draining as I use skills. As an AoE attack. So as I use skills here, you'll see that goes way down. So you don't always necessarily want to use all your bravery. A trick to using the rage is as soon as it gets down right to the bottom, then use your long-lasting mega nuke to kind of lock you in animation. See, it's right about to go, and then boom. See, it drains my rage, but I got off that ability. And then as soon as it's done, it will launch into an ultimate attack since I'm fully buffed up. So you get like 2 back-to-back absolute nukes. Then I hit army of 1 by killing 1,000, and look, Look at my bravery, ramps back up and it's almost to 1 bar again. So experiment with the combos, but once you get this one unlocked, you need to realize that it will be super powerful if you do this once there's an opening. There needs to be an opening. Don't just try this YOLO in and try to get this combo off. It will not work. Also, there's a ton of other ones you can do, especially after evading. This is also very useful. And when you play other weapons, scroll through here and really look at this. Some weapons really want you to do heavy attacks versus light attacks. So if your weapon is just not clicking with you, it's probably because you're just using the wrong combination. It's just button mashing like I did. All right, so the other parts of your build is you're gonna have gems. Now you're gonna build these and you can level them up. They're gonna have all sorts of different mechanics. My personal favorite is this Ascendance gem. So it's gonna have an automatic block chance against officers. So when you're playing, your survivability is very low, getting the timing might be difficult if you're an old man like me, and this will just like block for you and you'll just stop attacks. Super helpful survivability. This one is helpful for survivability. It's 136 health. I have 1400 health, so that's a significant amount for every 100 enemies defeated. However, they have to be really big battles for this to be useful. This one expands the attack range, is also really good for swords because your attack range is very limited. This will allow you to kind of drop that whirlwind skill and reach enemies more reliably. Vortex is very good if you're going to knock enemies up into the air using that combo a lot. This is boost damage to parry enemies. I don't find that useful. So I've stuck with this pretty much the entirety of the game because blocking incoming attacks is so vital. Now we got accessories. There's going to be a gazillion. I don't have them all caught up yet. But at end game, remember, it's all about getting that ultimate gauge filled up. So Red Dragon's Talon and then Dragon's Spleen. This is going to help you increase your ultimate and do it more frequently. So when you very first start out, you're like, what do I equip? And you only get one. So the very first one I think is increased health. One that helped me quite a bit when I very first started was Ravenous Spirit Amulet. 5% when an officer has been defeated. So why that's useful is most of the battles are officers. And when you very first start, you have almost no meat buns that you can bring with you. You have very little bit of consumables and you have almost no way to heal yourself. So this is a way that you can heal yourself just kind of passively while doing damage. You'll be able to take off the training wheels later on and add things like attack power and so on. But early on, this is very, very good. And then once you get the second one unlocked, I stacked as much health as possible and increased this. So that way I'd get more and more HP back. So horses, I've leveled up this one kind of fully, but this is a better horse in my opinion because you have extends mount charge maximum distance. So a lot of times when you get on your horse, you're just going to be trying to build up as much endurance as you can so you can sprint to the objective to objective. And when you go on that charge, it's really important to get there as fast as possible. So level up whatever horse you get and then kind of experiment to see which one is best for you. But rarely do I jump from heights. And so now I'm leveling up this one because I'm like, this looks a little bit better. Okay, something that's going to be a little bit more advanced for folks is tactics. You're going to get used to these. There's going to be a gazillion of them. What I want you to realize is there's a way to do like a perfect one. So you're going to see a blue line similar to the companion ones, and that's going to let you do a dramatic effect like that, where that blue line pops up. And then when you use the tactic, you're going to hit them very, very hard. So that's really important to do and master. Some of these tactics, which are basically just companions, allies, surrounding you, will do very good. Some of them won't even do anything for you. So a range one, Flaming Volley, is good, has a lower cooldown of 240 seconds. The best overall, in my opinion, is Mounted Charge. This thing, when you go into these large, massive, open field battles, will absolutely obliterate everything. It has a very long cooldown, but if you can get it with a dramatic success, it will entirely flip a major open field battle for you. This is a later game one. It's called Encirclement, and it's basically going to surround an NPC boss, like an officer. So this is your flex spot. Pick something else if you're going to be using these tactics frequently. On the really hard battles, on the highest difficulty, just getting these stupid guards to go attack the boss is so helpful. It's a lifesaver. Also, you're going to be earning these tactics and guards by doing missions. So this is the icon for a mission. You can see I've already done this guard. This is just a replay mission. So always do the missions if you can. The more guards that surround you, the better you'll be, and the more tactics you'll start getting access to. Okay, we're gonna go to consumables here. Now you can upgrade them. They're called portables. I don't know why. Meat buns, and you get 3 other ones. Now you can use them 1 time per battle outside of the meat buns. So that's really important to recognize what you should bring and why. So let me go to the main one that I like, is this Incense of Vitality. Restores health by 70% for you and nearby allies. Now, there's a way to restore health to allies via passive and then rescuing them. But on the battles where you have 1,000 different allies that have to survive, it's so annoying. This is an utter game changer when the victory conditions are not just one specific hero. Another one that I really like is the Spirit Pill. It's going to increase your ultimate gauge. That's a no-brainer. These two are really good for farming. You're going to have to do a side quest with the healer. So this is going to increase your proficiency gain by 200% until you defeat 100 enemies. That's how I was able to power level through a lot of this content and get my weapons ranked up faster, get access to skill trees. I completed this mission with the medic. I got access to this arbor green, and then every time I would go into a skirmish or a mission or a battle, I just pop one of these, kill 100 enemies, and then boom, rank up my weapons really quick. Alongside of that, I would bring the second one with me, Crimson Crest, also unlocked via the healer, grants you 20 skill points immediately. So if I have extra weapons, I just chuck them, sell them, and buy 2 of these every time, go into the mission, and it just skyrockets your skill points and your weapon proficiency, which increases your rank, which increases and gathers different skill trees. Some other good ones are pretty obvious stuff here, but there's the strength one. I always bring this one. So that's the third one that I always bring besides the meat buns. It's going to increase your strength for 60% for a limited time. So I'll just pop that as I'm about to go into rage mode and then just obliterate pretty much everything on the battlefield. You have a lot of defensive ones, but this one, don't sleep on this one as well. It revives fallen bodyguards. So later on in the game, you're going to get access to these bodyguards that follow you around and help you do stuff on the battlefield. But in the really long fights, they're just going to die. The officers will just kill them, and they're super useful. So having something you can just pop them up one time as you're really deep in these large battles is super helpful. All right, last thing up is companions. I think it's last thing up. Well, they're going to help you into combat, and you get to pick them. And at the beginning, I'm like, well, why do I pick one versus the other? I didn't understand. It's basically their abilities and their skills that they have with them. The fourth ability, you want your companion to have the mid-max, the most advanced one. There's a couple that I use a lot. One, can't pronounce his name, and I can't pronounce the girl's name either, but he has the Divine Eagle dance skill. So he's going to be similar to you. And when you swap him in, you're going to have max bravery, kind of like you entered rage mode. So if you're desperate, you need some HP, you have no way to kill a boss quickly, boom, you can swap the companion. You'll see in the UI in the bottom left, the companion will have an ultimate gauge just like you will. They'll have a health gauge as well. So keep an eye on that as they build, then they can interact with you doing the ultimate attack, or you can save it up and hit that swap, go into rage mode with the companion. Also, if you get that blue line, fire off a battle art skill immediately so you can tandem combo it. So the girl that I like, she uses the wheel weapon, but she has one of the strongest abilities in the game. Twin Tiger Blast. This thing costs like a bazillion rage, and it does just as much AoE damage as the sword ability, and has even better range. So that's the strength of bringing her into the battle, is you have a lot of range, but both of those are really, really good. Look for companions that give you what you lack or have just as much firepower with their main ability that you have. Okay, I swear I'm just about done. Spoiler alert. Some tricks for you. Make sure your skill setups gotta have one high cost, one low cost, one mobility, or a range damage skill at the start of the game, along with an interrupt. This is going to allow you to be able to hit something really hard with your high cost, break fortitude with your low cost, get around the battlefield to always reach a target, and interrupt when they turn orange. Next, on the interrupt skill, the special arts, make sure you have at least one bravery in the tank so you can always interrupt an enemy with palm strike. Build bravery. Don't feel like you automatically have to use skills and bravery and battle arts. You don't. You can save up, rely more on your combos, your light and heavy attacks, and then unload on an unsuspecting officer when you need it most. Mobility, how do you get around? You need to use a combination of evading, jumping, and you can do mid-air jumps as well, and whirlwind kick battle art to stay on top of the enemies. Weapon traits. Make sure when you're picking a weapon, don't just look at attack power and that +3 green. You need to have something that fits your build specifically. Maybe it has 1 or 2 more traits. That's going to be more impactful than a +2. With your talents and your skills, make sure you're looking to increase your portable consumables and or the meat buns. This makes a humongous difference, and don't call me meat buns in the comments. this. Look for combos only when you have a perfect time to do it. If you do a perfect evade or you do a perfect block and the enemy is staggered for 1 or 2 seconds, look to launch in a 2, 4, 5, 6 button combo then, rather than just doing it base tanking and taking tons of damage. Companions, use them for your 2 most important abilities: Extreme Ultimate Attack, the yellow line, and Battle Chain Art, the blue line. When those things are up, fire off. Double dip in effectiveness. Tactics, look for that blue line so you can use the tactics with dramatic success to increase the effectiveness. And Rage, your meter, the whatever Musco meter, is the quintessential way to be God mode in this game. It's literally God mode. You're invincible, you nuke everything, you have tons of bravery, you can use battle arts, and you don't take any damage, plus you heal when you do attacks. So the game revolves around this mechanic. If you disregard every single thing I said, even you're still watching at the end of this video, God bless you. But also, build towards Rage, getting that ultimate meter filled up, so you can activate this, nuke everything, rinse and repeat. All right, I promise I'm done. That's a long video. I love this game. If you got something out of it, hit that thumbs up, subscribe. I know 2 people have made it to the end, but I appreciate you. We'll see you next video. Thanks for watching.